Drug testing for welfare is a hot topic. A lot of states have tried to start drug testing for welfare. In order to receive your welfare benefits, you need to have a positive drug screening. Talking about welfare in the U.S. is somewhat of a taboo subject. If you're on welfare, usually you don't talk about it. It's just one of those things that it correlates to poverty and being below the poverty line. And with drug testing, we are assuming that people who are on welfare are drug addicts or are into using recreational drugs, which would create an even bigger stigma on the term welfare. Annually, the United States pays out $131.9 billion on welfare, which doesn't include food stamps and unemployment, because unemployment and food stamps are forever changing. The total of Americans that are on welfare is 12,800,000. Food stamps roughly account for $80 billion a year in government spending. The total amount of people that are on food stamps is roughly 46,700,000. Both of these numbers are overwhelming due to the sheer immensity of both numbers. In order to drug test for every welfare payout that the government does use, the government would roughly be spending $1.96 billion annually if they drug tested once a year for their welfare recipients. And that is roughly an average cost of a drug test of $42, according to the acul.org website. So there are two ways the drug testing for welfare can go. You can drug test for welfare, spending that $1.96 billion a year, and then weeding out the ones that shouldn't be on welfare due to, drug use and having a drug addiction. But then you're also putting that negative spin on on welfare, stating that if you're on welfare, you may or may not be a drug user. And then also, if they don't put drug testing into effect for welfare users, then you are still creating that number for the $131.9 billion on welfare and the $80 billion for food stamps a year, and we're still adding that to the U.S. government spending. So in order to drug test, normally what drug tests do is they're not once a year, so you would be doing every 3 months, according to a study on acul.org. So if you're putting that, roughly you're spending, if you're doing every person that's on welfare or food stamps, every 3 months, 4 times a year, you're spending roughly $8 billion a year on drug testing alone for welfare. So in the long run, I feel that to cut spending on welfare and food stamps, you could take that $8 billion a year, put it into drug testing, and then weed out some of the people that may or may not be in such need of welfare assistance to create a bigger or a less spend out payout when it comes to welfare and food stamps.